This is the big one. Gold Coast, Collingwood, People's First Stadium, big prime time on Friday. Let's talk about it. This game is going to be absolutely nuts. I think it's going to be one of the games of the round. And God, this is the second last time that we travel interstate. And I reckon this is a bit of a danger game for us. Not because I think it's a banana peel game like the West Coast game or anything like that. Gold Coast are genuinely really, really, really good this year, right? They are currently in the top 8. They're one game in hand as well. So you got to remember that at the end of the year, they'll play Essendon in that weird, redo from opening round. They're waiting all until the end of the year to play that. So they got one game in hand, but over the last fortnight, they've actually done really, really well, albeit against Melbourne and Essendon. But that Essendon game in that last quarter, so there was 10 league changes throughout that game. In that last quarter, they really put their foot down, and that was, I think I read it was their best fourth quarter performance in the history of the Gold Coast Suns, which is, over 200 or so games. So that's, they're starting to get on a little bit of a run. They have only won 2 of their last 5 games, and some of those losses, there was 3 in a row. It was Fremantle, Giants, and the Cats. So they are a bit shaky when they come up against teams in or around the top 8. So that's a bit of an advantage that we have. Are they flat track bullies? But if you sort of don't think about that too much. If you look at their stats and the way that they play, they are, on top for the most part. Over their last 5 games, they're ranked second in clearances, so they get their hands on the ball pretty much first, but they're ranked 15th in disposal. So what that tells me is that they don't like to overuse the ball. They'll get it, they'll go long, they'll go to Ben King. They've got the highest rate of inside 50s in the last 5 games. So they're giving their forwards first use of the ball, well, their forwards and their mids first use of the ball, which makes them very scary. And when a team is lower in the disposal rating, so they're not using the ball too much, your tackling game sort of goes out the window, and you rely on your defense a little bit more. You rely on your press. You rely on your zoning. And we know that Collingwood do that the best. We know that we are one of, if not the best pressure side in the competition in 2025. In saying that, the recent games that they did lose against the Giants and against the Cats, in those 2 games, the Cats and the Giants had a tackle count of over 80, which is interesting because then if you look at the games that they did win against Melbourne and against Essendon, they didn't apply as much pressure as those last 2 teams did. So you can see that even though they don't have the ball too much, if they get pressured, they do tend to stuff it up a little bit as well. So that's, again, something that Collingwood do so well, where it's that pressure, it's that perceived pressure. We are the kings from scoring from intercept possession. So if, the Gold Coast are getting first hands on it, they are getting it inside 50. When Darcy Moore, Jeremy Howe, these guys are marking the ball and they're chaining from defensive 50 to forward 50, we know that we can score. And we've been keeping teams in the last 5 rounds to only 64 points. So we're keeping teams nice and low and kicking a big score as well. So I know the Suns are a little bit shaky, but that's what kind of scares me about this game. This is a game where it's their first Friday night game at their home ground, which is 1, just historic, obviously. 2, they're going up against the ladder leaders. Last year, they beat us as well. But then if you look on the flip side, we've been comparing 2025 to 2023's Collingwood year. In 2023, around this time, we come out and smash the Suns by over 70 points. I remember watching that from a pub. So, if you're looking at 2025 and 2023, that could be a nice little omen. But I just know that this game is going to be hard-hitting. I reckon it'll be high scoring. I know we've been keeping teams to a low score, but when you've got the likes of, Long and Ben King in that forward line, amongst, a few others, and just such a good midfielder of Anderson and Rao, you're going to concede quite a bit. I reckon, the Suns are going to be kicking between, 70 to 85 points would be my estimate. But we're going to be kicking just as much as well. Now, flipping over to Collingwood, what can you say about this team that hasn't already been said? 8 games in a row. This will be our biggest test probably since the Hawthorn game, I would say. I guess the Melbourne game was a test when we got there. Because, we obviously win that by a point, but Melbourne were down the bottom of the ladder. Going into that game, I thought we were going to win by 40 points. So when I say a test, I'm like, that's what I mean, like looking at the fixture and going, oh, okay, this is a top 8 side that they were in the top 4 only a couple of months back. They're vying for that top 8 spot. This is going to be a huge test on prime time as well. We just come off a 56-point thrashing of Carlton, who are in shambles anyway. So yes, it was amazing to smash them by that much, but it wasn't a test. This is a genuine test leading into finals, and that's when you want to get tested. We were getting tested at the start of the year, and we obviously are playing well, 14-2. So we're passing those tests. This is a new test now. We've had a couple of lower teams playing again. So, the Saints, West Coast, Carlton. Now it's starting to come out. We've got Gold Coast now, then Fremantle, and then we slow down and get Richmond as well. But Gold Coast away, it's going to be this is when we will see what the Pies are made of. And I fully expect us to go in and win this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Like I said, I think it'll only be a couple of points here or there. But this is when Collingwood need to go into gear. Like I've told you about, Collingwood can change gear where every team sort of plays. And, we'll put our foot off the gas in the first sort of couple of quarters. In the second half, we come out, third quarter like we did last week, 8 goals, put it full throttle, and then we keep going. This one, if you rest on your laurels too much, the team can come over the top against you. And I think Gold Coast are a good team for doing that. But then you look at what I just said previously with the pressure. If you apply that pressure like we know we can, that's when Gold Coast will crumble. Now, I think this is a bit of a weird game personnel-wise. We saw Scott Pendlebury was training with the rehab group. There's a main training session on Wednesday, then a captain's run on Thursday. So we'll see what the team is sort of looking like if they're just load managing and if he does go up or anything like that. I kind of want to rest a couple of players if we can, like just a couple of the senior guys, but I also don't want to mess with the chemistry too much. Now, we know that coming into the side potentially, you got Ed Allen really good to go, Steele Siwan is good to go, and Lockie Schultz will be good to go as well. I know in the comments people were saying, don't take Lockie Schultz up because of the hamstring and its humidity and stuff like that. But if he's good to go, why not? He is still the best pressure forward in the AFL, especially for tackles inside 50, and just pressure rating is just through the roof, and pressure acts are through the roof. So if you know that a team like Gold Coast crumble under pressure, why not bring the best pressure forward in the competition to help you out? Because, without Bobby Hill, who probably won't play as well, we do need those pressure forwards, those small forwards to help out. And we kind of got away with it last week, so that wasn't too much of a worry. But this week, we will absolutely need a player like either Bobby Hill or Lockie Schultz. Obviously, we're going to be leaning towards Lockie Schultz because of Bobby Hill. We need him to come into the team and show his form from earlier in the season. The form that won the Richard Pratt medal against Carlton in round 4. The biggest thing for us, like I said, is just starting like a house on fire. I don't want Gold Coast to kick the first couple of goals, and we see it. We're not a good first quarter side. We play better in the middle part, so the second and the third quarter, and then if we have to, in the last quarter, we've proven to, foot down if we absolutely need to. But this is the game where you want to start like a house on fire. We know from, remember opening round what humidity can do to this Collingwood side. Hopefully a little bit more battle-worn than opening round and cramping and stuff like that. So that's going to be interesting, playing through winter here and then going up to, look, it's probably only going to be 19 or 20, but we know how Queensland is. So I'm talking about humidity like it's going to be a big factor. It's still winter. It's probably not going to be that big of a factor at all. But, different weather conditions. But they'll go up on Thursday. They'll check it out. So the game plan should be start like a house on fire. I want to see us kick the first 2 or 3 goals. Put the Suns on the back foot straight away because there's no better pressure. You can talk about inside 50 tackles. You can talk about contested marks. You can talk about this and that and this and that. But there is no better pressure than scoreboard pressure. And, we saw that with Gold Coast against Essendon. We even saw that with Gold Coast against Melbourne. Gold Coast against Essendon at Marvel Stadium, notoriously, they don't like playing at Marvel with Damien Hardwick and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But with a young Essendon side who had, injuries coming out of every which way, Essendon were keeping up with them. And we're obviously a better side than Essendon, but for Essendon to keep up with them, except for that last quarter where they ran out of legs, it just goes to show you that Gold Coast are very gettable. But we know every team likes to play their grand final against Collingwood. This is going to be no different. This is not like the Gold Coast of old. This is not like that 2023 side that we beat by nearly 80 points. This is the John Noble Gold Coast, right? So it's the John Noble Cup as well. We reunite with an old friend who is now an enemy. So it's going to be an actually really fun game. I'm going up to watch them play. I fly up on Friday. I land at like 4:30, so it'll be 4:30, land, apartment, straight into the game. So I'm going to be very, very keen for that. I'm very excited for that. I just want to see the best Collingwood performance that we've had over the last 6 weeks. Yes, we had a good performance against the Blues, and it was probably a three-quarter performance. We took the gas off a lot in that last quarter, obviously, because we were up by so much. Why? But I want to see us, if we are up by 20, 30 points at one stage, I don't really think it's going to be, let's just say 20 points, right? I think that's, a good indicator. I want to see us put the foot down, and if by a chance, a miracle, at three-quarter time, we're up by 35 points, it's foot down the throat. I want to win the game by 60 points. But you know what I mean? I don't want to sort of get out of gear. If we start the game in third gear, I want to only go up to fourth gear. I don't want to go back down to like a neutral and idling. I want to start the game fast. I want to finish the game faster. Big calls and predictions. This is going to be an interesting one. I haven't really thought about my big calls. The prediction is that I only think Collingwood are going to win by a few goals. I think, Gold Coast, they're one of those sides where you don't know what Gold Coast you're going to get. Are you going to get the Gold Coast that got, were leading all the way against the Giants and then fell in the last quarter? Or are you going to get the Gold Coast against Essendon, who finished the game really, really strongly and will take that form into this game on the big stage? And is the big stage going to frighten them against the ladder leaders, or are they going to revel in it? So I only think we're going to win this game by about 17 points. My big call will be that, man, I just think it's going to be such an even game that there's not going to be a really, really big call. I think Nick Dacos is going to get tagged. Damien Hardwick was the one a couple of years ago, or might have been last year. It was last year that said, if you're going to tag Nick Dacos, do it in the last quarter. So expect a Nick Dacos tag in the last quarter specifically. But I think one of our forwards is going to get off the leash. I'm hoping we see another mixed day or even a Mycheck 4-goal performance. But let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think of this Gold Coast game? How do you think it's going to go? What sort of Gold Coast side are we going to get? Let me know your thoughts and predictions down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.